Hi, I'm retired Detective Tony Two-Tone. This is Behind the Badge.
Hi, I'm Officer Harold Ely, and this is Behind the Badge. Today we're going to talk a little bit with detectives from our Central Precinct about initiatives that are occurring in the Hispanic community. With me today are Sergeant XO Falero and also Detective Jose Hernandez. Welcome to Behind the Badge.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Now, before we talk about what's happening with the department and the initiatives that we're working on in the Hispanic community, tell us a little bit about yourself. How long you've been on the department, your assignments, that type of information. Let's start with you, Sergeant.
I first came down to Virginia, Newport News department here in 1998. I came from working in a police department in New Jersey. Started off my career in Denby, North Precinct area. Worked that assignment on midnight shift until 5 years. 5 years into that assignment, switched over to Central Precinct midnight shift for about 2 years, and was then made an FTO for that shift, which is when we started going into the Hispanic initiative at that point.
Right, an FTO, that's our field training officer.
Then I went to day shift, then made the rank of sergeant in 2005. I've been placed in different assignments, Watch 3 Sergeant, Watch 2, Watch 1, and now Central Investigations.
Okay, all righty. What about you, Detective?
Well, I came to the department in 2000. I began, my first assignment was South Precinct. I was working the evening shift. After that, I was transferred to Investigations.
Investigations, all
Central
right.
Precinct.
Central Precinct.
Yes, sir.
So you spent a lot of time in the South Precinct and in our Central Precinct.
That's correct.
And Sergeant, you've been all over the department.
Actually from north to central.
North to Central.
Yes.
No time in the South Precinct.
No, very short, during my field training.
During your field training. All right. Then let's talk a little bit about what's going on in the Hispanic community. Now, I know that both of you are doing a lot of intensive work trying to get out with community outreach and help the community with problems that are occurring. And let's talk a little bit about what those problems are. Who would like to start that?
That's fine. The problems that started in the beginning, when we started doing the Hispanic outreach, I'd say it was probably late 2003. One of the things is that they were being victimized. They were being robbed, and they were not making these reports because of the language barrier between the police and that community. And also because in some Hispanic cultures, they fear the military because their police is the military. So they would not be making reports to the police and shy away from us.
Okay.
That's how that started, and that's what the main problem was, that they were being victimized and not making reports.
So we weren't getting the reports.
That's correct.
All right, so did you on the street level address this, or did we go through our community programs division? How did we address the problem?
Actually, I think each precinct, the way it worked out was each precinct saw this because the officers that were working those beats, the ones that could communicate, noticed that that they were talking to people, they were saying they were being robbed, but there were no reports of it. And they started communicating with the community as far as going to their complexes. Most of them were in apartment complexes. They would go on foot patrols and try and talk to them and find out what's going on and trying to make them make reports so that we can address that issue. But each precinct was doing their thing until we collectively got into with Sue Wells when she was doing community programs.
Okay.
And that's how we kind of noticed that we're all kind of addressing the issue.
All right.
It's not just one officer or two officers or three officers, several officers that were addressing this issue.
Okay, so we had a problem and it turned into a community outreach kind of solution. Is that how we worked it?
That's how we did it. It was low-keyed at the time. We're talking 2004 area. We still did our kind of outreaches, but they weren't like how they are present day.
Okay, so how do you get into the community, especially when we have language barriers, especially when people don't want to make reports or are not making those reports? How do we get inside the community and get our help, get the help that we need?
Well, the way we did it was we got organized with Sue Wills, and we started sending out pamphlets and information into the areas that we noticed that were heavily populated by people from the Hispanic culture, and we organized a meeting.
Okay.
We found a place where we met, and we brought a lot of information to that community. For example, not to be afraid of the police. We're here to help. The problem with the language barrier, we have so many officers that speak Spanish, and we can't translate. We get called, a lot of times I get called at home to translate and things like that. So by us reaching out to that particular part of the community, the feedback then turned out to be more incidents being reported, making arrests, robberies, arrests. As a matter of fact, I would say we gave some of the cards, 1-800-LOCK-YOU-UP, that were in Spanish and English.
Right.
One side was in Spanish, the other side was in English. And one of the incidents that was reported within a week of us doing the first community outreach program downtown Newport News was an abduction and robbery, and we made 3 arrests that morning.
Absolutely. So you, in conjunction with the crime line, all right, were
sir.
able to get information and make those arrests, which
That's
of course
correct.
makes the community feel more safe. What was a typical scenario for these robberies that were occurring? Or was there one?
Well, not really. I mean, some of the guys would tell me that they would come home on Friday night from work with cash in their pockets and be approached by individuals, and they knew who their intentions were, and a lot of times they were ahead of them and ran away.
Okay.
So, sometimes they didn't and got caught and robbed.
So the victims in this case were carrying cash,
Yes, sir.
and people were aware that they were carrying this cash and were what? Just being opportunists.
That's right.
Okay.
There are walking ATM machines.
Walking ATM machines.